Yeah, could you talk about the influence of salty foods and liquor and or sugary things in terms of how that affects you? I mean, one of the things that I think that's kind of funny here is that when you eat asparagus, it responds right away, and I'm not sure whether that's oxalic acid or whatever, but why does that happen?
Yeah, I'm not sure why that happens either. And there's actually about 15% of people who don't have that odor after they eat asparagus, which is very bizarre. But it's whatever kind of chemical is in asparagus and it goes right through rather quickly. Alcohol is another bladder irritant. Whether it be beer, wine, liquor, it's a bladder irritant and will cause you to go to the bathroom more frequently. Salt will cause you to hold water in, and so it may have a detrimental effect on how often you go to the bathroom or not, and can cause edema in your lower extremities and other places. One of the things that I have my patients do that have edema in their lower extremities is you can elevate your legs higher than your waist. So that means you either have to lay down on a couch or you have to sit on a chair and put your feet up on a bed and put them up on anywhere from 1 to 3 pillows and be like that for 45 to 60 minutes every day towards the end of the day. So a good time for you to do it would be like 4 to 5 o'clock before dinner. And then that helps mobilize that fluid, get it back to the bladder and out before you go to bed. Because otherwise, once you lay down, all that fluid just goes right to the kidneys, the bladder, and out. And it's going to cause you to have to get up during the night multiple times. So, and sugar was the other thing. Sugar is a bladder irritant only if you're diabetic. And my diabetics who are out of control and are incontinent, they are not going to be continent unless they get in control. So the very first thing I ask my diabetics is, what is your blood sugar run in the morning? What's your A1C been for the last couple times? If their A1C is 7, 8, 9, they're out of control. You need to get back in control. You need to keep your blood sugar around 120 in the morning. Otherwise, what's happening is you're spilling sugar through the bladder, and that's going to cause you to go to the bathroom more often as well. Good question.
What about sugar-free drinks?
Oh, sugar-free drinks are fine, except that you can have too much sweeteners. Now, we don't have any data on Splenda or what's the name of
Stevia.
Stevia. We don't have data on those two. But aspartame and saccharin, those you can get too much of that, and it's going to cause you to go to the bathroom a lot as well. So you got to be careful. And the other questions always asked, well, I drink decaffeinated coffee, so I shouldn't have a problem. Decaffeinated coffee has caffeine in it. Decaffeinated means that they decrease the caffeine. Caffeine-free is the only drink that has no caffeine in it. That's coffee or tea. So if you have decaffeinated coffee or decaffeinated tea, you're drinking caffeine. So don't drink that before you go to bed. Any other questions? Yeah.
I'm not sure how this works, but I was at the dentist recently, and they talked about how with different sugary drinks that they not only affect the different sugar levels, but the pH. Is there any influence of the pH in your body regarding this part of your?
Well, the normal pH of the bladder of urine is around 6 to 7. Do we ever really look at that? Only generally in women. And I look at the pH of the vaginal tissues because that tells me if they are estrogen depleted or the tissues are atrophic or whatever. But doesn't the pH really affect, I'm going to have to say, in my business, probably not. Anything else? How's that for being right on time?
Yeah.
Thank you all
so
very
much, Leslie.
You're welcome.
I'm going to take just a few minutes talking about the other side of the urinary problem, and that's dehydration. And that's a really important topic. Let me switch the microphone, excuse me.
Oh, and I've left some brochures and cards here, and you guys can just have them wherever you get them.
Remember when you were a kid and it was a nice hot summer day and you ran outside to play and you played tag and you played softball and you did all those things that made you nice and sweaty, and then the first thing you wanted to do was to run inside to either get a cold glass of lemonade, or better yet, remember going to the hose, the garden hose, turning it on, taking a drink of that cold water right out of the hose. Can't you just taste it even now? It was so good. The reason it was good is because that was our body telling us that we needed to replenish our fluid. You see, our bodies are made 70% of water. 70% of our body is made from water. And we store that water in 3 different areas in our body. One of the areas is in our cells. Each and every cell of our body requires some fluid inside of it in order to function normally. The second place we store it is in our tissues, and that, especially with salt. Leslie was talking about edema or swelling in our legs. That's an example of fluid being stored in the tissues of our body. The third and most important area that we store fluid is inside our vascular system, inside of our blood vessels. Because our heart has the responsibility of pumping that fluid, blood-carrying fluid, to every single cell of our body so that our body functions normally. Okay? We lose water on a continuous basis. We all know, like Leslie talked about, that when we urinate, we lose water, right? But we also lose it with our stools. Our bowel movements also carry out fluid for us. We sweat, and that's our body's mechanism to cool us. We have to maintain a very narrow body temperature in order to be able to function properly. And so our body uses a mechanism of sweat, putting a light layer of fluid on our skin to evaporate, to cool us down.